It is the 5th century BC, Asia. Imagine you are faced with an enemy you cannot defeat. Mongol tribes, descendants of the great Genghis Khan, determined to take what they want and spare no one. The question is, what are you going to do? Construct the greatest defensive structure ever built. Berlin, 1961. The wall between East and West Berlin goes up, separating families and friends, dividing a city and the world. This wall was designed not to keep an enemy out, but to keep a people in. It stood 28 miles of concrete and barbed wire as the very symbol of conflict between East and West Berlin. But then 28 years later, democracy sweeps across Europe and the Berlin Wall comes crashing down. Two weeks before their 2006 midterm elections, the US signed into law the Secure Fence Act. This act directed that the Department of Homeland Security construct at least 2 layers of reinforced fencing along 850 miles of the US-Mexico border. The US claimed they were protecting their country against the next 9/11, even though none of the 9/11 terrorists entered the states by crossing a land border. They claimed they were taking action to stop smuggling and undocumented immigration, even though the walls that already existed in California had failed to accomplish this. Research has shown that the previous erection of these walls in California did not have an impact on the influx of immigrants coming across the US-Mexico border. Interestingly, no walls would be built along the Canadian border, and the coast would also be unaffected.
This is a journey to explore the architecture of power. The power to enslave. And is a weapon that can control a whole land and its destiny.
Let me take you back to last September. There you were, sworn in as Prime Minister in front of 6,000 people. And you promised to crack down on Jamaica's endemic crime and insecurity. Was that just empty rhetoric?
Could never be. Crime is our biggest problem. Our murder rate is just much too high. One of the highest in the world. We have to get on top of it.
Crime, outside of the global crisis of financial recession, is perhaps the most pressing issue at this point in Jamaica's history. This crime, real or perceived, seems to have had a particular impact on our architecture's definitive edges. My research will take the form of a series of visually based observational and analytical studies in 2 communities with polarized property edge treatment. This is because the use of imagery is of great significance when attempting to understand the types of complexities of bounding edges in Kingston. To supplement this visual content, I have begun and will continue to interview those directly involved with the creation of these bounding edges, namely the architects who are supposed to design them and the owners who think they are essential to their property edges. The primary aim will be to ascertain from the owners their perception of perimeter walls, and from the architects their handling of this issue. It is a well-known fact that not all neighborhoods in Jamaica welcome outsiders. This might prove to be my biggest challenge. The subjective nature of the research and analysis to be done is also inherently a great challenge. While I provide historic examples and thus measures for assessing fear and its impact on bounding edges at the international level, my study seeks to explore a domestic scale. The timeline for conceiving my research topic, conducting fieldwork, and the actual production of the dissertation is broken down into 3 categories: preparation, action, or actual legwork, and reviewing content. Though I will provide most of the intellectual content and practical work for my dissertation, I also know that it is a mammoth task. Hence, I have drafted in Jacob Vorthaus as an external advisor, a few friends to type handwritten and audio content, and several others to proofread my dissertation for clarity and grammar. This is in addition to the help my lecturer and assigned advisor will provide. The way we relate, or fail to relate, to each other on a domestic communal level is directly linked to interactions on a national, regional, or international level. Our homes, and by extension our communities, have become more and more private and exclusive. No longer do we sit on verandas and mingle with passers-by. We have become an introverted society, preferring to shut out the wider communal context. This lack of interaction is one reason I posit that our nation is in its current state of distress. There is nothing but cultural construction in human experience. If we can understand the complexities of our current context and effectively assess the existing state of things, we might be able to conceive and explore alternative futures. It is hoped that this future will be addressed with an aim to conclude a prototypical solution for designing friendly constructed edges within the contemporary urban tapestry of Kingston, Jamaica. I will examine and question the various philosophical, social notions which impact these choices, and thus my attempt is to re-articulate the conception of the boundary as an inherently predominantly negative architectural element.
Trying to get a job today, but when I'm to the application and say, if this is where you really reside, please step outside. She asked them why, and they replied, we don't want no trouble, we don't want no trouble, no day. Lady, where you come from, people die there every day. For our safety, that's where you should stay.